If you're thinking about buying a used car, then stay tuned, because today I'm going to show you how to quickly check out a used car for purchase. Now, all modern cars are computerized, so if you have one of these OBD2 readers, plug it into the car and you'll learn a lot. And realize that these OBD2 scanners will fit any car from 1996 to the present. So if you don't have one, it's a good idea to get one. Some are as cheap as 40 bucks. Now in this Toyota, you go under the dash, and here's the plug that it plugs into, right here. You just plug the code reader right in, it snaps in, then start the car. Then the first thing you want to do is see if there's any codes, so we'll choose read codes. Well, there's no code, so that's good. Now, if there were any trouble codes, that means there's a problem with the car. There aren't any, so we know that at least there's no solid trouble codes. Then you also want to check a thing that's called drive cycle monitor. And in this case, you can see it says all monitors are okay. And that's really important to check also, because sometimes the owner will have the computer reset and it'll have problems. Then it would say some of the monitors weren't okay yet. You wouldn't want to buy the car then. Now the next thing to do is to park on a nice flat surface and then look under it to see if there's any kind of oil leakage that's dripping down on the ground. And in this case it's dry as a bone, but we're going to jack up the front end anyways to check things. You can learn a lot by jacking up a car and looking at the underside. You want to look at the CV joints to make sure they're not ripped or torn. And you can check the bottom of the engine and transmission. In this case they're bone dry, so they're not leaking at all. And while you have it jacked up in the air, you can pull on the tires, see if there's any suspension wear where the tire would wobble back and forth. Now this car is pretty new, it's only about a year old, so I know that it runs pretty good. We're mainly going to be looking for body damage to see if the car's been wrecked or flooded. So you slam the hood, and then see if it's aligned correctly the whole way around. Look at the seam on one side of the hood, and compare it with the seam on the other side of the hood. And in this case, the right seam and the left seam look exactly the same, so the hood hasn't been crumpled in. And do the same thing on all the door seams to make sure they look the same, front to back, and side to side, so we're going to the other side. And they all match, so it wasn't whacked from one side or the other. Then we'll pop the trunk open and look inside to see if it's been rear-ended. Well, the seams inside are clean and they're all factory looking. And now we'll pick up the rugs and look inside. And sure, the little cardboard stuff's ripped. But more importantly, all these factory seams are still exactly as the car was built. They haven't been touched and done over, so it hasn't been rear-ended. Then you want to go up and down the car looking at the paint and look at the reflections, because that way you can see if there's any little dings. As we walk down the car here, you can see, hey, this looks strange. There's a little ding in the door right here. You're only going to see it when you look at the reflections, though, so look closely. Now, of course, you don't buy a car just because it has a few dings, but you knock some money off the price. Then the last thing you want to do in this quick check is look at all four tires. Make sure they're not cupped or have gouges in them, showing that there's a problem. These are flat and evenly worn. And then, of course, take it for a good road test. Drive it for a good 10 minutes in town and 10 miles on the highway. Listen for buzzing noise, humming noise, clicking noises, and see how the vehicle tracks at highway speeds, if the steering wheel goes straight, and whether it shakes or not. And then if you're real serious about the car, do like my customer did. Bring the car to a mechanic like me to do the final check. Because you're going to be saving thousands of dollars buying a used car, so spend 80 or 90 bucks to have a pro check it out before you buy. And aside from a little dent on the side of the door and some cracked cardboard in the trunk, this Toyota passed with flying colors.